Hello, in this tutorial we're going to cover the gallery plugin, gallery widget. So yes, this is the fun part because as you know, everybody loves to put gallery on their website. So let's get right into it. So first thing first, we're going to go to the plus sign and click. And in this case, I would like to put in one section and one column. So I'm gonna click that. As you can see, so we have section and then we also have a column. So now we're gonna click this button right here, and then we're gonna go scroll down just a little bit just to see the gallery, and then we click, hold and drag and put it in the new area we just created. So as you can see, it has nothing. But we're gonna start putting some images on it and then populate it. So now, before we do anything else, actually, what I want to mention is a type. So now we have a single and you have multiple. And basically single is just a single gallery. Multiple is it means that you can have, two or more galleries that are separated by category, so to speak. And we are definitely going to cover that after we deal with the single. Well, excuse me, with the noise outside. But anyway, let's add some images. So I'm going to click the plus here. As you can see, it's loading up some images. I'm just going to put random images here, maybe 6 of them, 1 2 3 4 5 6. And then I'm going to click this blue button here at the bottom right, and you can change the order if you like. Let's say if you want to shuffle things around, and obviously we have this button called reverse order. Let's say if you want to reverse everything, so if I click that, as you can see, it flips. So let's insert the gallery by clicking the blue button on the bottom right. So give it a few seconds. As you can see, so that's the look that we have right now. That's a default look. Now the order by is something that previously we just covered, but let's say if you want to add a little pizzazz with a little bit more variety, so to speak. So you can go default or you can go random. Random means whenever you hit refresh, or if somebody visit the exact same gallery, the order will not be the same as what you have seen. So lazy load, I will always recommend it to turn it on to yes, because when it comes to Google and Google SEO, they have this concept called above the fold. Above the fold is anything that you see here. As you can see, this is what we call above the fold. Anything below it, it's called below the fold. So, what it means by lazy load is that lazy load only loads images that are above the fold. So if you have a lot more images, maybe way down here at the very bottom, and you don't see it in the above the fold area, the widget is not going to load those images first. And the reason why it's doing that is because you want to speed up the whole process. Nowadays, speed is the king. So, anything that any website can do to speed up the whole process for you to be able to see the content is, it's very valuable. So again, I recommend you to leave the lazy load to yes, aka on. So now, okay, let's move on to the layout. Layout is, this is how it looks right now. So currently it's under grid, so you can see it's 4 columns as it mentioned over here. So let's say if I change it to 3, it will change it to 3. If we change it to 2, now, okay, so now it becomes 2. Now, as you can see, these 2 images below is starting to get into the area of below the fold. So just to keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm gonna change it back to 4. Actually, let me put it back to 4, as you can see. So now I'm gonna change it to the justify. Hold a second. So again, it justified the width just to fit things. Now, if you notice on the justified, it no longer show how many columns you have because, well, it justified the length. So it shows the width. It adjusts the width appropriately so that it will be able to fit all the images in. So that's what justify is. Masonry is something that you probably will be interested to put in because basically, as you can see, it has a little bit more pizzazz to it. And obviously this image has less height than the other images, so that's why it's kind of like piling up on top. So basically masonry is kind of like how you stack up your tiles, as we see here. See, it's like all these little tiles over here. That's kind of like how you pile up all the images. So that's what the masonry is. Again, you can always adjust the columns. You can make it 2, as you can see. So that's what it is. And again, either whatever the layout you have, you always end up with spacing, like what we have here. Spacing is the gap, as you can see, between the images, vertically and horizontally. So let's say if I change it to 20, or maybe, as you can see, the gap widens. And this also applies to the other layouts. So let's say if I choose grid, and since the spacing is 20, as you can see, that's what the spacing is. So again, let's go back to the grid since we are at it. So basically link is called media file. So what it means is that when you click, it opens up the full dimension of the image. That's what it is. So again, you can kind of move things around. You can move it this way. So that's what it does. Now let's right click on it again, edit gallery, and okay, so we are back in the menu again. You know, you can also choose custom URL. So if instead of going to open up the media files, when you click it, maybe it will take you to a different website. You can do that too. But typically what people choose is media file because, you know, it's a gallery. People would like to be able to see the images in the full length. So as you can see, so again, I'm gonna right click and click edit gallery. Now again, we have an aspect ratio 3:2. 3:2 would be 3 width and 2 height. So you can change it to 1:1. So which means the width and the height, they all have the same ratio. You can do that too. Again, if you want to do 16:9, which is kind of like a high definition TV nowadays, you can do that as well. But let's gonna stick with, let's say 3:2. You know, actually, let's do 4:3. We can do that too. Now, image size by default it's called medium. Usually, I will always choose full. But you know, because sometimes when you choose the full, it shows the higher resolution version of it. And on the website that we made for you, by the way, this is this is to address our current clients. You know, the full images are already well compressed, so it's not going to slow down your website quite a bit. It's not going to slow down your website at all. So, but either way, you can choose medium or full. We prefer full in this case. So, and again, let's go to overlay. So overlay means, as you can see, like if you hover on top, you kind of see the background. It's just kind of darkened a little bit. So that's what the overlay is. So, and if you want to change the color, then that's when we will go to the style. But right now, as you can see, the title, it has none. So when you hover on top, it doesn't have any text on top of it. It doesn't have any description on top of it. So let's say if I click title as in title, some of the images may be set up to have the title on their images. So that's something that needs to be set on the images on the media. So let me Okay, so yeah, but same thing with description. You can do that too, but a lot of that sometimes. Okay, so if there's no description being put on the images in the first place, then it's not going to display anything. But yeah, usually that's something that needs to set up right from the get-go when you upload any new images into the system. You can set up the title and description and all that, and then once you choose that, it will start adding up those titles. So anyway, that being said, let's go to the actual style, like what we have here. So when you go to style, it will choose the normal and the hover. So basically, does it have a border on it? So you can choose, let's say this is under the normal circumstances, when the mouse that is not on top of the image. So I'm just gonna click, let's say red, okay, and let's add some border on. As you can see, that's what the border is all about. But let's put it to, yeah, 6 for now, so that it will be more pronounced. Now border radius would be kind of like the edges. What we have here is a little bit sharp. So border radius, what it does, it kind of give a little smooth dent around it, so it looks a little bit lesser striking, as you can see. That's what it does. Now again, hover animation will be what's going to happen between the hover state and non-hover state. Right now you notice there's a split second transition, so you can actually change it. Right now it's set up to 0.8 seconds, more or less milliseconds, so 800 milliseconds. So I need to Google what that means in second, but basically you get the gist of it. It has a little transition. So basically, if I increase it to, let's say, 1600, just to double that, approximately. As you can see, the transition is slightly slower. But yeah, so that's what it does. So, okay, so what is the difference between normal and the hover? Hover would be, okay, so let's say, as you can see right now, it's set up to red and 6. Hover would be, let me change it to maybe, let's say blue, kind of dark blue, so to speak. And then let's change it to 12. How about to 20? So as you can see, if I hover it, so okay, it doesn't seem to change the border radius. So, but it does change the color of the background, as you can see. So, and you can see now they have a new option called CSS filter. So CSS filter will be if you click, and then let's say you want to blur it out just a little bit. As you can see, it become not, it blurs the whole thing. So, and you can change the brightness as well. You can change the contrast as well, saturation as well, and hue as well. So a lot of things you can play with it. Now let's say if you don't like this and you want to go back to the way it was, you can always click this button back to default, and there you go. So basically it goes back to the original. Now hover animation would be what happens between the normal state and the hover state. So hover animation, let's say right now if I want to put in zoom in. So what happens is when you click, it zoom in quite a bit actually. How about if you want to zoom out? So now when it zoom out, you notice that by default, all the images are zoom in. But when you hover it, it goes back to its original state. This is the original dimension. So as you can see, it's the reverse, so to speak. You can do move left if you want. So let's say if you hover it, you move to the left, move to the right, up and down, and you get the gist of this. And of course, you can always set up the animation duration, just like the way we talked about. So now I'm gonna go to overlay right now. So overlay would be, right now it's currently black as a default. So let's say if you want, on the hover, I mean. So, okay, so this is the normal mode. What we have here is called the normal mode. But when you hover, that's the hover state. And you can see it already has a preset color, which is that. So I'm gonna change it to something a little bit different. So right now I'm going to change it to, let's say, green for some reason. Okay, so let's say I choose green for some reason. And then as you can see, you can set up the opacity as well. By the way, when you see it refresh and it kind of randomize the whole thing, don't forget, if we go back to the content, and as you can see, it says order by random. So whenever it refreshes, it kind of randomizes the whole thing. So just to keep that in mind. So let's go back to the style again. And again, on the overlay, on the hover, as you can see, it's green. So I can also change the opacity, the level of transparency. If I drag it all the way here, it becomes a solid color. So as you can see, it becomes a solid. But if I kind of move it a little bit to the center, so it has kind of like somewhat 50-50 level of transparency. As you can see, that's what it does. But anyway, if you rather go back to the original, you can always click this button. So I'm just gonna do that. So that's what it does. Now again, you have a different kind of blend mode, saturation, color exclusion, and multiply. You can do that too. So that's sometimes that's kind of like the way we do things. So okay. So when I click the default, let me just click the default. So actually, let me click to default. There you go. Kind of go back to the original. Actually, I'm just gonna change it again. I'm just gonna move it a little bit to the left, so it's dark but not too dark. So anyway, blend mode, it allows you to overlay. As you can see, overlay has a little different color tint to it. If I change it to darken, lighten color, it's kind of like the same thing that you play around with Photoshop. So if you have Photoshop, as you can see, it just kind of changes the whole thing. So you can do a hue. As you can see, the hue is a lot different now. But yeah, that's the option you have, and you can play around with it. Again, it also has a hover animation. So when it comes to overlaying, you can always choose that at will. Kind of similar to what we have to the images. So now the content is, what happens if you have the text. Like if you go back to the content, we have overlay as well. As you can see, it has background, title, and description. Same thing on the style. So again, let's go back again. So yeah, overlay, you have background, title, and description. And then, if you go to style, that's basically what it is. So if you, let's say, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put back the title. Okay, so hold a second. As you can see, it has the titles now. So I'm going to go back to style. I'm going to go to content. I'm going to change the alignment. So instead, see, as you can see, the title is on the left. Now the title is on the right. So if I unchecked it, it will automatically be on the left. So I'm just going to click the center for now. So it's going to be on the center. Vertical position, as you can see, it's the position. So if I put top, as you can see, it's on top. So if I put in the middle, it's in the middle. Actually, if I just unclick it, it will automatically be in the middle. Same thing with the bottom. If you click it, it will be at the bottom. So, and then again, we have a 20 pixel padding. So let's say if I want to I want to make it to 0. As you can see, it kind of getting close to the bottom. So that's what the padding is. So if I put back to maybe 37, as you can see, it has a little bit padding left and right too, actually. Padding goes round, so right, top, left, bottom. So that's what it does. So now, okay, so I'm gonna put it back to 20. And let's see if I want to. Now this is all what you want to do with the title. So as you can see, the title is currently in white. So if I want to change it to red, as you can see, if you hover, it will be in red. So again, you know, you can also change the font size as well. So let's say if I want to change it to 47. So as you can see, the uh, the font becomes way bigger than what it is. Anyway, yeah, and you can do the spacing. Spacing would be kind of like what's happening if you have 2 or 3 lines, and let's say if you have uh, the distance between the title. Let me click the content, title, and description. Spacing would means right now it doesn't have any description yet, but once it does, there'll be a spacing in between. So that's what it means. So if I go to style again, uh, that's what the spacing is all about. But anyway, this is going to be the part 1 of the gallery, widget. And the second section, we're going to talk about the gallery widget, but in multiple form. So it's going to be somewhat different, and hopefully it's going to be a little bit shorter than this video, because most of the stuff has been covered in this video anyway. So anyway, I'll see you guys on the next video.